Morning. Hello, my name is Pastor Evan. It's my great joy to be preaching this morning and sharing this sermon with you in person and online. Obviously, continuing our series on the choices we make. One of the things I have noticed and appreciated about this series so far, which will continue today, is that these things really are our choices. As Pastor Chris said 2 weeks ago, we can choose to be positive. As Pastor Phil shared last week, we can choose to be responsible. And there are many things in life that we know we don't get to choose. We don't get to choose our family. We don't get to choose a lot of the circumstances we find ourselves in. We don't get to choose how God is working in our lives or the lives of those around us. But we do have choices. We can make some significant choices with our lives, and we do have control of certain things. Today I want to talk about what it means to choose to be persistent. Why should we choose to be persistent? How do we do it? How do we keep going and regardless of the circumstances that we find ourselves in? How do we continually do something or attempt to do something, especially in the face of opposition, obstacles, challenges, and discouragement? Well, it's an exciting time of year, July. For myself as a cycling fan, the Tour de France ends today, so I've been keeping up with that. And also, on Friday is the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. We just had to wait 1 year for the 2020 Olympics to now happen in July 2021. Not bad for a pandemic, just 1 year postponement. One of the things I love about the Olympics, watching on TV, is not just getting to see so many different sports and athletes competing, maybe different events that I'm not familiar with, but you also get to see a lot of the backstories and the history of a lot of the athletes, what brought them to the games. And one thing that is consistent is that they've had to make choices. They've had to make sacrifices. They've had to be determined and motivated and willing to achieve success in even qualifying for the Olympics. There's a lot of instances of difficult, even extraordinary obstacles that people have had to overcome. Maybe a serious injury that they had to recover from. Could be a personal heartbreak, a family member or a loved one that they lost. Could be just an untimely defeat in a previous event. They barely qualified, or they're trying to recover from 4 years ago, or in this case 5 years ago, of some bad experience they had. But like I said, one thing they all have in common is that they've made choices. They're dedicated, determined, and willing, and persistent. And so this morning, I want to take a look at a passage of Scripture that has a lot of strong athletic analogies and metaphors in it as well. There's a lot we can learn from athletics in our walk of faith. And Paul knew that. And Paul had a lot of difficult circumstances in his own life that he needed to persist through as well. And we're going to pick up Paul's letter to the church in Philippi. And as he's writing this, he is in a prison cell preparing to potentially die. He knows his trial's coming, but he's not sure what the outcome will be. Maybe freedom, maybe death. It's a pretty difficult circumstance. And he needed to choose to be persistent through this circumstance in order to continue his mission of preaching the gospel to the Gentiles, sharing the good news of Jesus Christ.